Welcome to another live. Welcome everybody. For those of you who have been watching Sunday after Sunday, watching the live or watching the replay, welcome to you again and thank you for your support. Remember to like and share these videos and also leave a comment so we have an idea of how much you have learned or something that you'd like share here on the Iconic Advisor page. For those of you who might be joining in for the very first time, my name is Shirley Clark and I am a licensed financial advisor with the Financial Services Commission right here in the beautiful island of Jamaica. My responsibility is to help my clients, my prospects, and even suspects achieve their financial goal through proper planning with the tools that are available. And of course, last week we started on the topic of retirement pension, and it continues today. We can't have enough of that discussion. And of course, I have invited my capable and awesome guest today again. She is a pension consultant and no other person than Ms. Magdalena Cooper de Noose. Welcome
Hi.
again, lady.
Yes,
How are
welcome. Thank you
you?
so much. I'm fine and looking forward to today's program.
Me too. The
Yes.
feedback that we've been getting from last week has been awesome, and I realize that this is really needed. And today, in my beautiful month, of course, we're celebrating how many years from Hurricane Gilbert? Today is actually the 12th of September. And
Oh,
of course, 9/11 was a few days ago. So we
yes.
have been exposed to turmoil, uncertainties, things that we didn't plan for happening, and lives may have been lost, or lives have been lost. Persons have lost, businesses have lost home, roofs, whatever it is. But these are what we talk about when we say eventualities happen, that we know to have some emergency fund put aside, some insurance put aside, and we are going to narrow down now to, of course, pension, retirement. When that time comes when you have worked so hard, you need to make sure that you have some money waiting for you. Last week, we went through some myriads of questions and we hit some targets. And of course, we want to continue this week. We're not going to go over the questions that we did last week, but we spoke basically, what is what is retirement, and of course, and lifestyle planning, because it takes planning in order to achieve. We have to plan and then execute. What is retirement,
Mhm.
and what are the names of Jamaica's approved retirement savings, which are governed by legislation, and of
Mhm.
course, what role we're going to be talking today about valid will and the testamentary trust. We ran
Yes.
into some questions, the definition of retirement last week. What is the difference between the ASF and the ARS? And as I said before, we're not going to go over those today. We
Yes.
want you to make sure that you go back. We did about 56 minutes of discussion for you.
Yes.
So you can go back on the Iconic channel and watch that video. And of course, I'm sure Magdalena may have it on our page, but we have some other topics for you today. And of course, I'm seeing someone saying hello. I hope I'm not getting the name incorrect. It's Amoy Rickman. She's saying,
Yes.
hi, Magdalena, the Jamaica
Yes.
Midland is proud of you and
Yes.
your efforts.
Yes.
Welcome to the channel. And of course, you can post your questions here, or if you have a comment that will benefit those who will be watching. Again, welcome everybody. Welcome to the live. Lady Magdalena, I'm going to be
Yes.
tossing the question at you. I know this is a passionate topic for you. And of course, the first question for those of you, by the way, who are on Instagram, welcome. And of course, I want you to go ahead and share the live. I want to welcome you, however, where the real discussion is happening on the YouTube channel, which is the Iconic Advisor page. I'm just here on Instagram to just lure you over here and hope that you'll join us where you can listen to our pension consultant directly and also post your question. Thank you once again for joining in. Magda, what
Yes.
role does a valid will or testamentary trust plan in retirement and financial planning? The well
Okay.
or lifestyle planning.
Yes. Before we get into that, though, I just want to redo the intro I did last week, which is
Awesome.
yes, retirement financial lifestyle plan requires a high level of personal knowledge and understanding of the plans to which you are a contributor, and also the ability to communicate the benefits for each plan in which you are a contributor. And that has been the problem in Jamaica. Some Jamaicans, a lot of Jamaicans will know what's offered overseas, but they never seem to know clearly what's offered in Jamaica. And that's why you refer to the ASF, Approved Superannuation Funds, and Retirement Scheme. And your communication must be with your employer, if you have an employer sponsored plan, your family, your spouse, children, siblings, parents, other relatives as required, professionals such as life insurance agent, and myself, who is also a FSC licensed life insurance agent and pensions consultant. And I'm also a partner in an organization called Milestones and Lifestyle Planning Services. Your attorney, an investment manager, banker, real estate agent. I mean, so you must know who are the people who is going to be on your team who you can communicate with, because nobody can do everything on their own. You must know when benefits are what benefits are, what the benefits are, and when they are not payable. So if you know those things, then you're able to better understand what we are talking about. And I'm just going to go back again and ask at least one person, Shonette, before I get to your question. Please ask one person, or ask the audience. Let me see what they post on. What is the definition of retirement, or when does retirement occur? Let me see who will put it on there before I even finish the sentence. Anybody typing?
Anybody
Because
remember what is retirement?
there are three life events. What are they? Anybody?
Before
No one.
you guys going to allow me to answer again?
Like what happened last
What
week?
are the three life benefits, guys?
Three life events.
Even
When
if
all right, so should it answer it for them in the interest of time? The three life events
okay, so
are
you have a disability, old
yes,
age, and death.
that's right. So once you have a
Oh,
plan,
Omar type old age.
yes,
I'm
okay.
sorry, Omar. I should have waited a bit more.
Yes. So once you know that your plans, all of them, especially the ones in legislation, provide a benefit in the event of disability, old age, and death, then your question about the wills and testamentary trust is important,
Yes,
because if we look at a lot of the poverty situations in Jamaica, a lot of those situations, in my opinion, and those who are on the platform now can correct me, a lot of that is based on poor future planning in terms of generational wealth, in terms of
correct,
passing on an inheritance. And when we
correct.
don't understand how that works, then what usually happens is that you end up with another generation of poverty. I can tell you from my own situation. And I said before last week, my grandfather was a wealthy man from Antigua, and I ended up going to a grandmother in poverty in Trinidad. So it means then that's something we have to correct it. We can't say, well, the government need to correct it, or overseas need to correct it. We have to take responsibility and deal with it. So there are two ways, there are three ways in which you can build your personal and generational wealth, if that's what you want to do. You can do it, you can build your personal wealth through all these different plans which we spoke about last week, but you can build your succession plan or your generational wealth plan by having in place a will or a testamentary trust or an inter vivos trust. Again, I'm going to give you general perspectives on it. If you are interested in it, you need to go and see an attorney,
Yes,
because every day we get up now, we're hearing of the amount of debts, and we don't know if those people have left any wills in place, especially if they're over age 18. We don't know if they've left a testamentary trust. We don't know if they've left an inter vivos trust. So the will, so what the will does, and I want you to role play with me over the media, over this platform. I'm going to give you
yes,
this, and you can take it from me. I don't see a hand up. Thank you. So I have, in a will, I transfer all of my assets to to Shernette. When I do that, it means that whatever Shernette wants to do, let's say for instance I have 7 children and I've transferred everything to Shernette. Whatever Shernette wants to do with it, then the other 6 children just have to wait to find if or when they'll ever get anything. Now, when you have a will like that, a will written like that, there's usually quite a bit of dead left fight. Am I wrong or am I incorrect?
You are right.
Yes. And so what you want to do is you really should get advice as to what is appropriate, whether it's to have a will or a testamentary trust. What a testamentary trust does is this. I have this pen, and Shernette is my beneficiary or my daughter, but I have 6 other children. Because Shernette is not my only child, so I have 6 other children. So I am now going to set up a testamentary trust, which means that upon death, the trust will say what is to be shared among what is to be how the trustees must manage my estate to give them an income. And then if I want to go on to my grandchildren, I then say how it will pass on to my grandchildren. So it's very different. So Shernette cannot come up to the trustees and say, I want my portion to go. No, no, no. She could talk till now to thy kingdom come. She has to wait until whatever it is, the rules of the will, the testamentary trust
To
say,
trust.
and to be able to give it to her. And you have trustees now. If trustees don't do what they're supposed to do, you can sue them, or they can sue other people who try to interfere with them. So it's a very different thing. In an interviewer's trust, now you set up the trust while you're alive.
The
You get
living
it,
will.
yes. You don't want to manage your estate anymore. So you have trustees manage and give you an income so you can live your lifestyle. So it's very important. I want people to really go away and research those areas a little bit more and therefore get legal advice as to which one is better. As you notice, I'm not speaking only about wills because I think speaking only about wills just box us in and doesn't give us that.
Exactly. And there are
Yeah,
other options
when there are other options, not only for personal,
that
for your
suits
children,
your situation.
yes, and but also for your succeeding generations, and
Yes.
also allows you as well to give to charity and that sort of thing in a much more organized manner. Because
Orderly. Yeah.
yes, because once you're doing it, you really should be taking care of your family first. You don't give to
Sure.
charity first and leave the family out the door. You look after the family first, and then you make provisions if you so desire for charity. Any
Yes.
other question you have?
The well, we let me see. I think someone had given me a question. Let me see if I can have that. I didn't expect you to wind up so quickly. All right. So one of them was, I am married. Should I know the retirement benefits available to my spouse at his or her workplace?
Yes, 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 yes. Can I say yes a million times?
Yes.
The reason I say that is that what I'm learning, I do very raw, what do you call
You're
it now?
passionate with experience.
Yes, but I also, as a result of that, I do very raw research. That's what I should
Yes.
say. So I will meet people, and if they come to a seminar, I'll ask them certain questions. And what I find is happening, and I hope that those who are on the platform today will understand, what I find is happening is that most husbands and wives never sit down together to discuss their retirement benefits, especially based on the fact that it is based on disability, old age, and death. I was in a meeting yesterday. I was hearing a story of someone who bought life insurance for his wife, for his spouse, and the spouse named all the children as beneficiary, and they didn't include the spouse, and there was no money to pay for the spouse or that they wanted in the spouse funeral. So it is very, very important that people understand how these plans work and also discuss it with your spouse, not your spice. Remember
That's
last week we said, remember last week we said the spice is hot? Yes, but when disability, old age, and death occurs, it's the spouse that comes first, not the spice. So you,
so.
you, you and the spouse have to sit down and talk about it. And a spouse, as we said in the laws of Jamaica, is somebody who you're married to and somebody who you've been living with as a single person,
Yeah.
for 5 or more years. Now, if a married man is living with a
It's
single woman,
living.
It's not applicable. The both of them must be single in order for the law. And as I said, I don't know if I mentioned this last
Say
week.
that again. Say it
You,
again.
if you are living with somebody and that person is still married, then
Legally
you
married.
won't have legally married. You won't have any rights in the law. So if that spice is so hot that you want to stay there, make sure you know that what you're really doing is saving up benefits for the spouse and nothing for the spice, because the
Yes.
spice is too hot. So you can't even. So make sure you understand that, because that's right. I don't know how much this is discussed in Jamaica, but I'm starting to discuss it because of the fact that
It's happening.
I'm
It's
saying
happened
it's
too many times.
yes, it's happening. In fact, when I saw it happen many years ago, I didn't know that when I first came to Jamaica, I saw it happening, and I didn't understand. I didn't realize it was Jamaican law.
Yes.
And then as I kept investigating, I said, oh, because in that particular case that happened many, many years in the 80s, early 90s. What no, in the 80s. What happened there is that the man was married, he was living with a woman, and he had some children with her. As soon as he died, the wife on legal paper was living in the US. As
Wow.
soon as she died, she just came back to Jamaica and said, get your what's it not out of my property.
Out. Yeah.
And there's
We have
nothing you
to
can
know.
do about it. So make sure that your love and your passion is in the right way, that you're not so spiced. LOL at spice versus spouse. SPOUC, not SPOUC,
I guess
SPOUC.
Rickman is laughing.
So, one of the things I make sure in these sessions is that people must have a time to laugh as well, because when you laugh, you can remember it much better. Okay, so I beg you all, please understand the law. Also, if you are married and you are living on family property, don't forget, if one of you die, then the surviving spouse needs to live the same place. Don't come and have a situation where the family comes and throw you off the property, and then you say,
Yes. That's another
no.
discussion to be had.
Yes. Yeah. So you really do need to understand those implications in the law whenever you're making your
In
actions. Yes.
right.
Any
Thank you,
questions online
lady.
so far?
I'm not seeing any questions. I guess you're listening. The website that we had posted was the www.moh.gov.jm.
No, wrong. moj.gov.jm, and that's
Yeah,
where you
man.
get.
Yeah, man.
No,
That's
you
what I
said
have.
MOH, but you said MOH.
MOJ.
Sorry.
MOJ.
Yeah,
Not
MOJ.
Ministry of Health.
Yes,
Right. So
retirement health.
we have been talking about employee relationship as it relates to our superannuation fund. But what if I am self-employed? I'm not employed to a company. I owned my own business, or I'm an entrepreneur. You know, is it, do I need to contribute pension fund? Is there an option for me to be contributing?
Yes. So
Yes, there
remember,
is.
yes, you remember, you're not an entrepreneur, TRAP. You're an
Yes.
entrepreneur, TRE. So you don't want to get trapped in running a business that you end up not having anything saved for when death, disability, and old age
Exactly.
occurs. So the first thing about being an entrepreneur is that when you remember that you might have that feeling from before you get to age 18, but when you get to age 18, make sure you sign up for NIS and NHT. Remember, I've always said that.
Yes.
Everybody in our community, you need to go and encourage them, regardless of once they're under age 70, encourage them to go and sign up for NIS and NHT, because those plans pay benefits that no other financial plan pays. But as I said last week, they're foundation which you build on, and that's why we do what we do in the insurance industry, because you build on NIS and NHT. So that's one. So
That's the
NIS and NHT,
foundation of
that's the
financial
foundation. Yeah.
planning.
Yes, that's critical, because one of them gives you a guaranteed lifetime income, and the other one gives you a cash lump sum, a tax-free cash lump sum. They operate differently in the tax legislation, but you need to understand that's how it works. Now, what's the question you asked me there again? It just slipped me.
The can I contribute to a
Yes.
pension
So as
as
an
a
entrepreneur, thank you. So as an entrepreneur, The law says you can contribute, apart from NIS and NHT, you can contribute as well to an approved retirement scheme, which is commonly referred to as an ARS. But the issue you have is that when you're an entrepreneur and you want to take out ARS, you have to have all your company registered documents in place. Like the company must be registered, you must show that you've been paying your taxes, etc., etc. If you can't do that, it's very difficult to get it. Why? Because the ARS, the NIS, and the NHT are all based on how you make
Yeah.
contributions based on tax, on the
Yes.
income tax benefits. So when you don't understand that, you think to yourself, that's the meaning. So why them I have to go on now find out my tax situation and so on, because the plans give you a benefit based on tax law.
Tax. Yes.
Yes. So therefore, there's nothing I can do about that. All you have to make sure you put yourself together. Now, I'm going to make another statement, and this other statement is not to say to avoid or bypass your requirements,
Get your
or
house in order.
yes, to get your house in order. But get your house in order. But while you're waiting to get your house in order, at least buy some life insurance. At least that will give you a little bit of a buffer until you get your house in order. But remember what I said before, the benefits that you get from the NIS and NHT, no other plan pays it. But while you're waiting, you can take out some life insurance. At least if anything goes wrong with you, at least something will still be done. So as an
Wonderful. And we're
entrepreneur
talking about generational wealth because remember,
as
we have
well,
dependents. So the
yes,
life insurance is going to be creating capital for
right,
those who are dependent on you.
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
my dear. We have a
yes,
question here from Amoy.
yes.
There it is. Once you're 60 or over, you cannot sign up for NIS. She's asking if this is true.
That's a very good question, Amoy. If I'm not mistaken, you see, when I get questions like these, I tend not to answer them. Why? Because I prefer for you to go to NIS. And then let me tell you what happened to me recently. Thank you, Amoy, for that question. Let me tell you what happened to me recently. I met a lady on the complex where I live here now. And she was saying that she came out and she asked NIS if when she can get, because she's living abroad right now, and she said she wanted to get her NIS benefit. So she went to NIS and said, so when can I get my contributions, my benefit? Because she lives abroad and she now knows about Social Security. So she came back to Jamaica and asked about it. And they said to her, you need to pay up this amount.
Because she hasn't been contributing consistently.
Right. So they said to her, if you pay up this amount, and you know what she said? I think I said it last week, so forgive me for repeating. She said that she paid up that amount, and the amount of income she was getting from NIS now in her retirement years, she was able to save it up. Her son was living in her house. The son died, and she used that money to come out here to help to bury the son and to put things back in order.
Wow,
So
so
what
it was
I
worth it.
Yes. So what I would say to Amoy is this: go into NIS and let them tell you yes or no. What I do know is that you can't contribute after age 70 because that's the maximum
Yes.
age for collecting the benefit. But what I would do, and because it's NIS is in legislation and it's subject to amendment at any time, I usually prefer people to go in there and ask such a question, because it just might be that you have enough contributions to give you a benefit, or it might
Exactly.
be that you need to put in this lump sum to give you that benefit. So I would suggest more that you go into NIS and you really ask them what's your status, and ask them if you can still contribute even at age 60. Because what has also happened is that prior to, I think 4 or 5 years ago or more, when the income tax act, when the NIS act first started, it used to be from age 18 to 70 as a contribution period for men, 65 for the men if they're not working.
Right.
In that same era, it used to be 18 to 60 or 65 for
For
women.
women.
But women could only get the benefit at 60 if they were not working. Now it's based on a unitary age. Both males and females are 18 to 70. So
Right.
that is why I would not say to Amoy right now, yes or no, if a woman is 60, she can't contribute. Let NIS tell you that give you that answer,
All
because I
right.
don't know what they've done since the law has been amended.
Exactly. Thank you for that
Yes,
one. Now we have
yes.
Newton Brown asking, What if you're a barber paying NIS and NHT income tax but don't have a registered business? I guess
Um,
he's asking about, the pension fund.
what if you're a barber? What as a barber, really? Yes, he's asking about the ARS. As a barber, what you are doing is you're classified as a voluntary contributor, like a gardener, a helper, anybody who is self-employed in that way. That's what you've done. So in your particular case, there are two options you have. You can go and register your business and therefore get the tax benefits of
Uh-huh.
registering your business. Or, like I said before, until you register your business, buy some life insurance called SureNet, buy some life insurance to at least get yourself up and running at that level. Can you join an ARS? Yes, you can
That's
join an
the
ARS,
that's the
but
continuation of the question.
right, you can only join an ARS if you have your taxes in order. As a self-employed person, if your taxes are not in order, they won't register you. You have to provide details. Whereas if you're an employee of an employer, it's different because it's expected the employer will play the role of making sure those deductions are done and the
That
income
would have
taxes
been
are
my
done.
next question. So I am
Yes.
with a company that doesn't do pension.
Well, that is where now you can go to the employer and say, I'd like to have, call it again.
But they don't do superannuation.
Very good. Up to the class. They don't do supervision fund. Right.
You
Right.
heard.
Okay, they don't do a superannuation fund. So if they don't do a superannuation fund, then you can go to the employer and say, I'd like to establish, or to your HR and say, I'd like to establish an ARS. Is that okay? Can I get it done through payroll? Can you make sure that the payroll system can facilitate my deductions on a tax, on an income tax basis where I get my deductions as a tax deductible and tax deferred benefit. So it means then you'll have your gross pay less your NIS, less your
Yeah,
ARS.
NHT.
No, not NHT yet.
Oh yes,
Remember,
you said
it's
NHT
gross.
is at the bottom.
Right. So it's your gross pay less your gross pay less NIS less ARS because those two are tax deductible and tax deferred.
Free. Yeah.
Less your no tax deductible and tax deferred, not tax free yet. Tax deductible and tax deferred. Then it is less your income, less your income tax threshold, less an income tax if any,
NHT.
less income tax if any, then you have the amount of taxable, then you have the taxable pay, then the income tax, then you have the amount of income on which you now
Pay
is
tax.
after tax, and therefore the contribution to NHT will come out based on your gross pay
Yeah.
because you've paid the tax before that comes out. That's why when you get NHT contributions refund, it is with no tax. That's why when you get a life insurance benefit, you pay
No
no
tax.
tax on it. Yes. So those two are tax-free plans. Yes.
No tax.
Yes.
Uh, Amoy said, what about persons who employ, say, a helper, where the helper is supposed to submit NIS, NHT, etc., but has not? How can the helper now get benefits, if any?
If the helper doesn't pay it, and if the employer of the helper doesn't pay it, then there's no benefits for the person to get, and that is why a lot of helpers are in problems when they get old. And
Wow.
therefore, what I usually do in my own situation, I give my helper the money to pay for it, to pay the benefits, and I say to her periodically, please bring me a statement to show me that you have contributed because I've given you the money to pay it. Yeah. Please, well, once they bring me, I said, okay, you can continue working. If they don't want to go and pay it, I said, thank you very much. Good to see you. I'll get somebody else. Because
Wow.
what happens is when you don't do that, you are actually contributing to another set of people in the trapped in the essence of poverty. And therefore, poverty is really, really recognized when people don't have a guaranteed lifetime income. That's why we do these sessions to show people how to contribute and get a guaranteed lifetime income.
Lifetime income. Live
Right.
outlives you.
Which outlives you. And so that is why it's important. So if you have a helper, I would insist You either pay it for her, go down to the various, I think you can go to income tax and pay it now, or you get the helper to pay it themselves. Yes.
How do I know, Magna, when I have saved enough for my retirement lifestyle?
Okay, that's a very, very good question. And what has happened is, and you called the term earlier on, starts with C. You remember what you said earlier on? A,
What
P,
I said,
I, T,
no,
A,
I didn't hear. No, I didn't hear when you start.
C, A, P, I. What's that word?
I said it.
Used it earlier on. Yes, you did.
Wow. Hmm.
C. What's the word? C A P. Come on, everybody, help her.
Help
I
me, guys.
P
Courtney
A.
says, brilliant question. Please help me with what I said before, sir. I I don't remember what I said. We capital. Thank you, boy.
Capital. Right. Capital. So it's
Yes.
very
Oh, thank you,
important that
Courtney. Courtney said it too. They're listening. Wow.
you're
Good,
listening.
good
So it's very
listeners.
important that you understand that when you enter retirement financial planning from age 18, you're into capital building. So
Yes.
into capital building in terms of your NIS, NHT, ARS, superannuation funds, your life insurance if you so desire, but also real estate. Because real estate is part of your capital. You want to have a place to live when you retire. So
And it
when
can be
you
a place of income too.
and it can be a place of income too, yes, and it can be a place of generational wealth as well. So because what you're doing with being in retirement financial lifestyle planning is building capital not only for yourself but also for your
Your
succeed,
children's
your
children.
children, right? So
Generational wealth. We can
yes,
start
right,
it from here.
right. So what you're doing is building that culture in your family, so they can use their expertise as they get older to be businesses, do better, to whatever, but not to be, looks, give me a dollar now, see me as me, I'm tired of that. I don't want that anymore. That's why I
And
do it.
we're having those horror stories in Jamaica
Yeah,
where you mentioned that incident about spouse and common law living with
yes,
someone who is attached legally to somebody else.
yes,
But then
yes,
we're having these instances where without a will, guys, or a testamentary trust, these are giving directions to exactly who you want to get what when
yes,
you're not around to
yes,
do so.
yes,
That
yes,
families are killing each other,
yes, over
whether
money.
it's insurance money and house. And you
Yes,
have to make sure that things are in order before you expire.
yes, yes. I just want to go, I want to answer the question you just had, but I just want to go back a little bit. If you, and I'm not condoning a spice relationship, right?
No, we're not.
I'm not. What I'm saying is, if you find yourself enclosed, you notice I use that word very
Loosely.
very judiciously, enclosed in a spice relationship, you can do what is called do a secret trust, where even if your spouse gets a benefit, your spouse will still get something. But again, I'm just giving you
We're just
information.
giving you ideas.
Yes,
So
you
you
can
don't
go
have
and
any
speak.
crossfire.
Yes, you can go and speak to an attorney, but because I studied law, I can tell you about it. Okay?
And also,
No,
Magna, since we're on that topic,
mm,
you were married and you have had children with your spouse. Now
yes,
that you have moved on with the spice, you have to make sure that your children are taken care
yes,
of.
yes,
Because when we
yes,
come again in this common law spouse relationship and you have moved on, let's say
yes,
there are houses and properties involved, you have to make
yes,
sure that that is clear. Because can you imagine also that your spouse, after you expire, has now taken on her new husband or new wife?
yes.
What is going to happen to your children?
Yes, now that doesn't bother me, and I don't. And if you don't mind me being a little bit more
I know.
strident,
I'm just saying, you have to, where it comes to the will, we need to sort those out.
yes, but I don't have a problem where after a spouse dies, not a spouse, after a spouse
Spouse.
dies, the widow or widower marries again. I don't have a problem. What I have a problem with is when nothing is put in place for generational wealth. So if
That's
you
the
have
point
the
I'm getting at.
yes, if you have a testamentary trust which allows your spouse to continue to get an income until he dies, but the assets will continue to your children and succeeding generation, and you both agree to it, then I don't have a problem with the husband remarrying. But when you do it in such a way that there's no continuity to succeeding
No
generations, that's where I have a problem.
contingencies.
Yes, and no continuity to succeeding generations. But going back to the question you asked me
How
earlier,
do I have enough to live
yes,
my
how do I
retirement
have
lifestyle?
enough?
Stick a pin.
Yes,
I want to invite those of you again. Hi and welcome. Instagram is just up to get you guys over onto the YouTube channel, which is the Iconic Advisor page, where we're continuing to talk about pension. My guest, Magdalena Cooper the News, and we are about 35, 36 minutes into our discussion, but you
really,
can still jump on over and learn. You can also watch the video again on YouTube. So
yes.
I'm going to continue on that question, and then we have another one coming in for you, Magda.
Okay, so because we are looking at retirement financial planning, lifestyle planning, is based on building capital. We then need to know, how do I know if I have enough capital? Your question didn't say that, but I'm just saying for ease, it should say, how should I know if I have enough capital? Why? Your employer can't employ you to give you an income if they don't have capital. Am I wrong or am I incorrect?
You're you're on the right track.
So I'm incorrect then.
You
All right,
have
don't
given
answer
me
it.
no options. You have given me no options.
That's all right. That's all right. That's the fun part about it. So because it's a capital building phase of your life in the accumulation phase for the distribution phase,
Which is what
what
age?
you start from age 18, and then you remember you're building capital to pay out a guaranteed lifetime benefit to yourself or your surviving spouse or a disability in the event of disability, old age, and death. So you're building capital. I wasn't taught this when I was younger, and so I made a
No,
lot of mistakes, a lot of mistakes.
it makes a
So
difference.
it makes a difference. And I just give God thanks I've learned and I can still share and learn from it. So what you're doing there is capital building. So you take your annual income that you're earning now and say multiply it by 10. So for ease of calculation, write this down. If you're earning $1 million in gross pay or remuneration, you multiply that by 10. So which means you need to have $10
10
million
million.
in capital.
Yeah.
In capital, for the event of disability, old age, and death. Now, when you get into retirement, the world doesn't say, Magda and Shernette have retired. I'm going to leave the prices at the same level it was at when they retired. The world don't do that.
Inflation.
Inflation takes over and stuff like that. So with that $10 million, you then have to add on to that another 10%. That's a very general approach I'm giving you. That
Right.
that that
Ease of
ease of
calculation.
ease of calculation. The 10% rule it's called. And so if you do 10% of 10 million is 1 million, so you need to have $11 million to be able to pay
To
you
have
that
10.
income,
Yeah.
that gross income when you retire at 10%, if 10% is the interest rate you're getting on it. And then to increase it by 10% or 5% as you get older every year
Yes.
until you
Every
die.
year.
Because,
Every year.
because that's the capital that continues to be invested to give you that income. When NIS and NHT, well, not NHT, but when NIS, Superannuation Funds and Retirement Schemes pay that money, you think the capital stops being invested? Oh no. The insurance companies still invest the annuity capital to continue to give you that income. They don't want to spend it all off and say, boy, Magda retired.
Accumulation.
Yes. So you're accumulating and continuing until death do us part. So you constantly using the approach of accumulating the capital and building on it, whether it's between 18 and when a life event occurs or when it is you get into retirement. And that's why when you're looking at these plans as well, and again, forgive me if I talk a lot about Sagicor because, I do a lot of business with them and, I talk to you a lot as well. The nice thing that Sagicor has when is that when you get to retirement, you can choose an annuity option,
Yes.
which either is a flat amount. You start off with $10, you get $10 until you die, or you choose an indexed annuity, which means it's indexed to the US dollar, and therefore as the US dollar changes, the exchange rate changes, you get an increase. And a lot
Yes.
of people who took on those plans have really benefited very well from it,
Yes.
including myself. So I am saying you need to understand how these things work. I want to hear when I meet the people on the website, and if they hear me talk and they don't even recognize me, she said, "Are you the lady who talk about capital and index pension?" That's number
Yes.
one they talk about. Are you the
Yes.
lady who talk about NIS and
We
NHT?
want them to start talking like that.
Yes. I mean, I want you to come and talk. Miss, are you the lady talk about a pension plan? I just closed my ears and I turn away. No, don't tell me that about no pension plan. I want you to tell me specifically NIS, NHT, superannuation fund,
Superannuation.
funds, retirement
CD.
schemes, whatever else. But don't tell me that about a pension plan. Just said that because a lot of people have been very disappointed when they get to retirement and they
Oh my
thought that they
God.
had it and they
Beautiful
didn't.
discussion as usual. I'm seeing another, I'm not sure if it's okay. Amoy said, if you own, for example, just one house, could you set up a testamentary trust, or is this type meant for persons with more wealth and multiple properties, etc.?
Okay, I understand the question. No, that's a very good question, Amoy. What I'm saying is, once you have assets, whatever it is, whether it's one or half, you have assets. A testamentary trust does well because when you're doing the testamentary trust, you're doing it with the perspective of a good man, a good woman, a good married couple leaves inheritance for his children's children. And you want the transition to the next generation to be
Smooth,
smooth
smooth.
financially, not fighting. I thought, Mama, they tell me, say, me was going to get that window, not you. Oh, no, no, Mama, tell me, say, me was going to get that tile, not you. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the testamentary trust means that you have trustees in place, including the administrator general, who can then manage those assets to ensure that the transition financially with an income is done in such a way that you don't leave your survivors on the road begging, but they can live. When a man or woman dies, their income dies with them. But life goes on when you have NIS, NHT, superannuation fund, retirement schemes, and life insurance. So that is why it's so important that you understand those things. By the way, the other reason why you need to have a testamentary trust or a will in place is that upon death, if you do not have a will or testamentary trust in place, it's very difficult to get your benefits from NHT. Remember, I told you that. So when
Wow.
NHT doesn't pay out any benefits upon death unless there's a will or a testamentary trust.
Wow. That I
So
wasn't aware of.
yeah, so make sure you have your will in place. If you can't bother with a testamentary trust, because I usually recommend people to go to an attorney to get the testamentary trust done, but you must have a will in place. Yes.
But
I see you
Magna,
looking puzzled. Yes.
yeah, because is it the benefit pertaining to the how the home is purchased, or you're talking about
I'm talking about the death benefit,
the death
which
benefit?
is
Okay.
which
So it's
is the
nothing to do
accumulation.
with how the house, whether it's tenancy in common or joint
No,
tenancy,
because usually those people would have life insurance in place to pay off the rest of the
to pay
mortgage.
off. Awesome.
Yes, it is any accumulated contributions that is supposed to be paid out in the event of disability, old age, and death. That
Wow. I
you
didn't
get
know that.
after death, you need to have a will in place, or is it now paid out? It goes into intestacy, and it takes years before it's paid out.
So
Yes,
I
so I
need a
hope
lawyer. I need a lawyer on
yes,
here.
yes, you do. And I
Oh
can
my
help you with that
word.
if you so desire. I can help you with that if you so desire. So
Yes.
kind of person getting a pension, Amoy, what kind of pension they're getting? NIS, a superannuation fund or retirement scheme upon death, have the benefits passed on to a spouse or beneficiary? That's a very, very good question.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. What I have found is that, and I think I might have said last week, so forgive me for repeating it. What I have found is that when I go to enroll women in, say, an ARS or superannuation fund, okay, so can you tell me who your beneficiary is? Yes, ma'am. Me pick me them, all of them. I said, but you told me you're married. Yeah, okay. All right, so what I'm telling you, ma'am, me not sure if gonna look after picking them for me now. And ma'am, me not sure. And I say, but he is your husband or she's your wife. It happens more with the woman rather than with the men. I said, you've got to put them down as the primary beneficiary. Now, what I would recommend is that as the fund grows and you know 2 3 4 years and you see it building, you can then put on the children as well.
Right.
Make
Or
sure
whatever
you
circumstances in your
never
life change.
right. Make sure you never take off the spouse. Why? The spouse can go to court and demand some of that money be given to them. Yes, demand. Yes,
I
yes.
don't
Say
know
it
if you should
soft.
say that out loud on here.
You want me to shout it?
No,
So let me say it soft. Let me say it
real.
softer then. Yes. And there are cases coming up. There are legally decided cases in the courts, not only in Jamaica but internationally, where the spouse has gone to court and pleaded their case and they've won. Because if you're doing a testamentary trust or a will and you are separate or you don't like your spouse, leave at least, I wouldn't say $1, leave at
You
least
said
10.
separated, even if you're separated?
Yes. Yes.
What?
Leave at least $10,000 in the will for them. Why?
You heard that, guys?
Because I'm not saying that's what you must do. Now. I'm just saying I can give you a minimum. Don't pretend nobody say Magda said.
Literally.
Don't do that. Yes. So I'm saying, why do you do that?
So sorry, this
Because
is
the
so
law
funny.
because the law says that because you've written down it's $10,000, even if they go to the courts and plead, the law says because remember that the law is based on intention. The law is not based on what you think. And if the think is this, I mean, no, no, no. The law is based on intention. And once it's written down, it shows your intention. Therefore,
Wow.
you ought to write and put something down for the spouse. Now, for NIS, you don't need to include NIS in a will. Why? NIS automatically says you're married, it is your spouse will
Law.
get benefits. Yeah, it's by
That's
law.
is by
It's by
law.
law. The NHT and the other plans, there's no law to govern those except for the laws of intestacy for NHT and for
Right.
any other assets you have. But in the NIS, in the Superannuation Fund Retirement Schemes, you must put down a named beneficiary. And if you don't put down your spouse at the time of death that you were married to, that spouse can go to court and claim in the courts for a benefit because you've actually died and left that spouse with all of your
Oh,
expenses of all of your expenses. So when a man dies or a woman dies, they leave their expenses behind for the survivors. So learn that. Okay.
wow.
And I'll tell you anymore. Whether you all vex or please, that's what
Wow,
it is.
that's a whole lot. That's a whole lot regarding, and there's so much we don't know about the laws. Where can we find
Right.
all this information now as it relates to? Because we know that the NHE, the NS, and that information as it relates to our pension, we can go to the MOJ, www. Where can we go to find this
Yes.
information?
So what you find with laws is that the laws I'm trying to find a good way to say it. The laws are crystallized or become more evident that it is law when there
Mm-hmm.
is case law.
Oh,
So you need to also go and look up any cases where a spouse died. In fact, there's one on, I check on Yahoo, I get Yahoo messages all the time. And there's a case now that on Yahoo, that's why I can bring it up so readily as well. There's a case on Yahoo about it right now internationally. So you need to understand how these laws are and how they govern what we do and why we do. Why does that happen? Because at the end of the day, the laws of the land are there to ensure that there is no continuity of poverty.
yes.
There is no continuity of just sheer abject poverty in the country. Because when you have too much abject poverty, nobody wants to lend you money. It means you're not managing your affairs very well in the country.
Right,
And
right, right.
no other country wants to lend you. So that is why the work that you and I do is so important because it helps to get people in line with the law help them to understand how it works and to play their part. You cannot run a country. So sure that so why the government now do this and why the government now do that and why the no, the government is all of us together. They do their part, but we must learn to do our part. That's why a program like this is also very important, because we get to learn how to play our part. And that's what's happening with COVID-19 right now. A lot of people say they're not bothered with it because of all the tears. And look at what's happening with us. Look at the amount of deaths we are getting. Look at how many people are infected because of our own negligence, not wanting to follow the law. Thank you, Amoy. Thank you for that. Looking forward to the next one. I don't know when that is.
Yes. This is our second week, Amoy. I'm going to invite you to go onto the channel and you can watch last week's program video, etc. There was a lot of information there too. We had to split it in two, hence we're here this week. But I
Yes.
appreciate your presence today. And of course, guys, the video is on the channel, even though we're live now. You can go ahead. I don't think you'll be able to see the comments, but the video is there and you're able to watch this over and over and share with your friends and
Yes.
your family.
I want to go back to another point about common law. Remember that the common law relationship is based on a single man with a single woman who have cohabited for 5 years or
Or
more.
more. Five.
Yes,
So
it
break
is
up a
not 4
relationship after
years.
4 years.
Right, it's not 4 years, 9 months, and 11 days. So I beg you, when you start out, make sure that you have things in place to cover that person, like life insurance or whatever the case may be. But I beg you, don't wait until the 50th year when it's legal, because between the first and the 50th year, lots can happen.
Anything can
So
happen. And
anything can
even
happen.
this
So
time in
be prepared.
COVID, guys, it is
Yes,
we don't know what is going to happen. I suggest the time is right now for you to get your life insurance. We don't know what is going to
yes,
happen.
yes,
I don't know. I foresee contingencies in place with these policies after COVID has passed, or whether you're vaccinated or
yes,
unvaccinated. I don't know. But
yes,
things normally unfold after these series. So please get
yes,
life
yes,
insurance policies
yes,
now in place. If it is that you have already and you don't have adequate insurance, you need to look at that your critical coverage
yes,
insurance. Look back
yes,
over those stuff. Have your policy and your portfolio review. Let's get those things in line. Children, spouse, whoever it is that
yes.
is also dependent on you or
You,
dependent on
yes,
your income, you need to sort
yes,
that out. And
yes.
we're here for you. So, of course, the information can be posted for Magna and myself, and we are willing and
To
waiting to
answer
help
them.
you with that.
Yes,
For those
yes.
of you on Instagram, thank you once again for joining in. Magna, we went 53 minutes today, 55 last week. What are your closing arguments today?
Okay, so my closing arguments based on retirement financial lifestyle planning. Remember that it's all about building capital over time. So when you get an inheritance, oh boy, did want that nice Benz, may I buy it right now? No. You have to bring it in now and look at it as your capital to see, or if you win the lotto, it is not to go and do those things. The first thing you do if you win the lotto or you get inheritance is that you put aside, first of all, an annuity which will help you to maintain an income for the rest of your life. So annuities are not only sold based on superannuation funds or retirement schemes. You can actually go into Sagicor, you can ask Shurnet to get a quote for you an annuity. If you win, like I heard on the news last night where this lady won or made
259.
million. So if she's listening, please go and talk to Shurnet and get part of that put aside as a capital to be able to give you an income for the rest of your life. Now, after you've done that, then you go spending. So remember that retirement financial lifestyle plan is capital driven. So you're
Yes,
constantly looking at building capital in all different forms. The NIS, NHT, the superannuation for retirement scheme, your own home, your life insurance, you have your stocks and bonds and so on. So all of those put together. Your spouse's income, not your spice, your spouse's
everything.
income, because the spice will make it very hot, but you can't get
Spicy.
it. Yes, it will burn you, but you can't get it. So your spouse's income, inheritance, All those things are important for you to put them together so that you know. If you want to have a graphic display of what I'm just talking about in terms of your 7 sources, you can send to Shurnet and we will send you information as to how much it will cost so you can have it hung up in your homes so that you can have a constant reminder of the 7 sources of retirement income, and also how important it is to have in place a will, a valid will or testamentary trust. Remember, if a will isn't done very well, it can be partially valid, and you don't
It
want
can be.
that. It
Exactly.
can be partially valid. You want to make sure your will is valid, so always try and speak to an attorney before you say that it is finished, the will. Don't just write it off on a piece of paper. No. Go see an attorney. The attorney
One
charge five
one
thousand
stroke of a
dollars.
pen can cause that
Yes,
to
yes,
be
yes.
invalid.
So go and see an attorney, have it properly done. Please don't say, Lax, I can't pay the attorney. No, go and pay it and get it done properly. So I hope that if there are no other questions, I hope that people
We're going to be
enjoyed the
taking on a
program.
lawyer. We need the lawyers on here so we can do the
Yes,
estate planning and the will. We need to
yes,
get our people sorted out because it's not just the US. I had seen a story recently with a popular entertainer who was along with this woman for 8 years. And when he died, she had nothing.
because she was a spice.
Had nothing. 8 years of her life, and he died, and
Yes,
she has nothing.
yes. And remember, you're going to talk to the lawyer about a will and the testamentary trust. I want you to bring that as part of your language now.
We're gonna be taking on a lawyer here, Courtney, but he was asking if any attorney can confirm it properly done. I guess can have it properly
Yes,
done.
all of them, because all attorneys couldn't practice if they didn't do trust law, and that's what wills and trusts are all about. Yes,
We're gonna be taking on one here, so
yes. Any other
yeah.
questions from anybody? Final before we close up in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Any comments? Any feedback? Hope
Right.
everybody
So
enjoyed
even on
today.
that will, I know that we can purchase the will forms in the bookstores, and some of us
Yes,
go to somebody and have them doing the will. Get it done properly, guys. As I said, one wrong stroke, or it's either not dated, or that
oh
you don't have
goodness.
two, or you have one witness instead of two or more.
Yes,
You want to have
yes,
an attorney. You have some persons wrote things on the back part and
yes,
didn't sign underneath it. They sign at the front, so you know that
yes,
whatever it is you sign under the front, that part is going to be a part of the will. But the back part, no, it is going to go to the administrator. Right, Magda?
right,
So
yes.
that comes
For
now
the
under the
transfer.
law of,
Jamaica.
yeah.
Yes,
And you don't want it to go. You want it to go how you want it to go. So you want to make sure that
yes,
that will is done properly. And for
yes,
those of you who don't have your will, every time I talk about this, I get nervous. If there are any change in your life, whether remarriage, divorce, or a death, you need to update the will.
yes, immediately. Yes, as soon as you can. Also, people, if anybody's thinking of getting married, make sure you do a prenuptial, and then when you get married, you do your will again. Prenuptials are very, very important. We don't like
Are they
them.
popular here?
They're not popular because of how the culture sees it, but when the culture starts to see it in the correct context, especially if you're going to a second or a third marriage, it is
Hmm.
always best to have a prenuptial. It works, it works, it works, it works, it works.
You're
So
protecting your
yes,
generation because you may have had
yes,
children before. You're,
exactly, exactly. So you need to have that done clarity. And I find that once you have that clarity, the relationship of trust continues without much of a problem. So it's always good to have that clarity.
awesome.
Yes, thanks
Awesome.
again.
Woo! As usual, I love you, lady. You
Thank
have to be
you.
back on here. Let me see what. Again, this has been a blessing. You are
Thank you,
welcome.
Princess.
Always blessed to
Yes,
have her on. I want to thank you once again out of your busy schedule.
yes,
Taking the time to be here to talk again on, of course, what is it that we need to do in terms of our planning. So planning
yes,
and executing, there is always a gap. We know about it and we
yes,
grab these information and then we forget about it. We have to execute it in order for this to be in place, guys, in order to break that curse, in order to stop
yes,
things that we have done in the past, or
Yes.
grandparents or even our parents, we have to start now in terms of, and let our children, my children, when they speak about financial planning, it sounds as if we're doing a rehearsal here, but it's how
Yes.
I
Yes.
operate, how I speak to them. Practical
Yes.
matters in terms of everything they see they want to purchase. We have a discussion about it. How is it
Yes.
I'm going to be buying this? Or how is it that we're going to be earning from it? Is it going to give you this? Is it going to give you that? What is the point of this? We have those discussions. Not that they have free
Yes.
time, but you make sure that you put a value on everything that they ask for, so they understand from now how money works, how they operate, how they make more. So we
Mhm.
want to make sure that you guys are being practical about stuff. And of course, every Sunday I am here on the Iconic Advisor channel at 4, speaking about financial planning, generational wealth. How is it that we're gonna accumulate it? And then when it's
Yes.
time for distribution, we're in a
Yes.
good position to do so. Magna, thank you once again, darling. It was a
My
pleasure
pleasure.
meeting you. And it has
Yes.
always been a pleasure having you on. Your passion, your excitement our people being educated and executing what is it that they need to do to achieve the dreams and goals that they have. Because we can speak it in a guys, and we can say we have faith, but he also said faith without works is
Works
dead.
is dead.
So we have to be proactive. Thank you guys
Yes.
once again for joining in.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Remember to observe the protocols, washing of the hands, wearing of the mask, social distance, and respect each other's space. If I need
Yes.
my 6 feet, please allow me my 6 feet without people getting upset. But we need to be protecting ourselves and our families. What good, guys? I sure do intend to enjoy the rest of my afternoon. Magdalena, I love you. And of course,
Love
we're
you
going to be
too.
talking. So
Yes.
enjoy, guys. Thank you once again. And remember to share the video, like, and you can also subscribe. Want to thank my subscribers so far. Enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah. What good, guys.
Bye.